Hey, you are currently being balanced between two pillows very meticulously, and if I pull my headphones a little too hard, you might fall. So I'm gonna try to be really gentle. Hopefully, you guys can hear me well through the mic. I hope I'm not, because I was like editing my video that I just posted, and I was like making a lot of mouth sounds, so I hope that this distance is pretty good for you guys. Anyways, before I started this video, I was doing a bit of organizing in my closet and shelves, and I put it off, but I truly encourage anybody that was like putting that off, if like you wanted to do it as a task, if it's like messy or whatever, definitely get on it, because it took me like 20 minutes, not 20 minutes, it took me less than 20 minutes to really just sort through everything, and I found some things that I want to like donate, see if I can donate. So I think that's a really good plus, and it's like you feel very productive. And so like today my whole day is going to be like oriented around cleaning things around, like cleaning my makeup brushes, cleaning my hair brushes, organizing like my under cupboard where my bathroom is, more of my closet, like all my drawers. I'm gonna focus my entire day on that, because I feel like throughout the year we kind of put that off, but I'm gonna get on that, and this is a sign from the universe for you to get on it as well. But anyways, I found a box in like my closet for some reason. I don't know why, like there was just an empty box there, and I went to like throw it out, and I saw an iguana just like skedaddle, like a small iguana. But that led me to remember that an iguana almost fell on me. So it was like a couple weeks ago, I was walking out of the gym, and I had my headphones in because I was like watching a video, and I like wanted to finish it because there was only like a couple seconds left. And I was like walking out, and I like hear shuffling above me. I was like standing under a tree, and I was like, oh, I think it's just like a palm tree shed. No, it was an iguana. It literally fell like beside me, and I was just like, ah! It just skedaddled away, and I was like, oh my gosh, imagine if it fell on me. That'd be crazy. But yeah, I just felt like the need to share that with you guys, because if you guys didn't see my last video, I've been a little MIA for like 3 to 4 months because I was focusing on a lot of different things and had to put YouTube on the back burner. Also, don't mind my shirt. I know I'm wearing the same shirt that I wore when I gave my update last video. What Conan Gray said about shirts, you know? But anyways, as I mentioned in my last video, I wanted to make a 2024 reflection video of just me reflecting throughout the year of like my accomplishments, the things that I've done, things I'd advise you guys to do, any advice that you guys can give me, as this year has been is volatile the correct word to describe it? Volatile is like very fluctuant. But yeah, I would say that's the best way to describe this year for me, because a lot of changes have occurred. I became a young adult, from 17 to 18. That turn, why was that so hard to describe? But anyways, I have my notes here about everything I want to go over, and yeah, let's get started. Did I even say Subdoodle Gang? Oh, yeah, anyways, Subdoodle Gang. Welcome back to another video of I Didn't Ask for Yappuccino. Cue that intro. Yeah. Anyways, so starting off on the list, a year ago I finished my first story in another lifetime, and it's crazy to fathom that I finished that story 1 year ago, because I thought I finished it 2 years ago. I now, like, reflecting back, it makes sense because I started getting into writing early 2023. And then I put it off, and then I started writing again in 2023, and I fully finished it at the end of 2023, which makes sense why that timeline is fitting. But anyways, I finished my first story ever, but that was just like finishing the story. I later realized, girl, we need to edit this, and so I started editing it. I'm not sure when I finished, like going through like a skim edit, like not really like immersing myself in my edit, which is, I wouldn't encourage that. If you're writing a story, definitely immerse yourself in your edits and make sure that you're very punctual and precise, because at like grammar, just the structure of the way your statements are is very important. Initially, I wanted to make my story into a webtoon. I was very inspired by various webtoon stories, and I was just like, how hard could it be to make my own? I was underestimated how difficult it is to make a webtoon, especially since I don't necessarily have the drawing skills to do so, and I only have like Procreate to draw, which is, you can still do it on Procreate, it's just a lot more finicky, and especially since I have an older edition iPad, I have like less precise quality when it comes to like drawing thing. But I would say from the videos I've watched of like, oh, how to make a webtoon, blah blah blah, it seems like everybody is using Clip Studio, which is like another software, and it's like specifically dedicated for people to make webtoons out of, and there's like various things you can use embedded into the program. It's very expensive. You still have to have like that drawing expertise, which I severely lacked, so making a webtoon was just like very out of my skill set. If I could really have done it if I like sat down and devoted myself onto it, but I feel like it's just like not in my scope. Like it's not in the now. I need to definitely start with drawing first and getting better at drawing, which I'll go over later in the video, to get to that point where like I want to make a webtoon. But anyways, I put that to the side because I remember I like tried to do storyboarding, which is very integral when you're making like a webcomic, and I gave up. I was like, wow, this is taking so long and all I'm doing is drawing stick figures. This isn't feasible for the way I want it to be. Like I really underestimated that, and that's why I was like, yeah, we can't make this into a webtoon. So that's why I started posting on Wattpad. However, I structured my story in Google Docs. The way my writing is, it's kind of like my iteration of like a scripted format. It's not the conventional way you like write a story with like that type of dialogue. It's in a scripted format, which I know is not everyone's cup of tea, but I would say like reading my story, it's very like easy to understand, and it's not the way a script is. It's like my own iteration. I don't really know how to describe it, but if you're interested, definitely take a look. I will have all the links in the description of all the domains my story is on. I aligned my story like in the middle when the characters would like start talking, some to the side, in the middle, to the side. And when I like copied and pasted that onto Wattpad, literally it like changes the entire format, and I really had to sit down and like change the format. I still do that to this day because I still publish on Wattpad, and I just find that super finicky because I thought I could just download my Google Doc and upload it on Wattpad, but that's really not how it works. It's like its own Google Doc essentially. And initially I was like, I'm not gonna go through all of that and upload it and like really do the format a specific way. I'm just gonna take screenshots. And so that's what I did with my first portion of my story, which you can still see on my Wattpad profile. It's like the whole entire story in a screenshotted format. Looking back, I'm like, I shouldn't have done that. I surely just should have formatted my story for the website, and that's what I ended up doing, and that's what I do now instead of taking screenshots, because it's not the most preferable, and it's like gets really glitchy and pixelated when you take pictures and like upload it on Wattpad. It's not the most preferable for the audience when they read. So I just scrapped that and started uploading my stories like you regularly would and just formatted it differently. But yeah, if you're thinking of uploading on Wattpad, definitely keep in mind the way the format is structured, because I was completely unaware of that. I felt really empty, like putting my writing to the side so I could focus on like doing the whole webtoon thing. Actually, I'll like show you guys pictures of like how my initial story was gonna be like, because I was like, I'm not gonna draw, like I'm just gonna buck the system and use like, there's this like app called like Pose something, and you can like use like a little 3D sculpture of like a person or like whatever it may be, and you can like use that as a reference when you're like drawing with anatomy and whatnot. And I used that with like a model and I traced over it, which, you know, there's a lot of controversy within the art and drawing like members, people that are like do specialize in art and drawing, about tracing. I don't think there's anything wrong with it unless you like claim like, oh, I did this myself. You kind of have to be like, oh, I used this. And I would just trace and like put that on, but even then that was a lot of work, and I felt really sad that I had to put my writing to the side to focus on doing the webtoon. So when I gave up doing like my whole webtoon hustle, I decided to go into writing. But since I had already finished my like edits for my first story, I started a new story, which is called Hopelessly Yours Up Here. I finished that during the summer and completely uploaded it on various different websites, which I will link below again. But yeah, that's how I've kind of shifted into like my writing gear and why I only specialize in writing at the moment. I started getting into drawing as well. I wouldn't necessarily say that I was the worst drawer before I started like really getting started practicing it a lot. Even now I'm still very low maintenance. I do like a bit of drawing each day and then just call it a day. I'm like 10 to 15 minutes, that's enough. I wanted to take it more seriously because I was like, people aren't just going to read something, you kind of need a picture to supplement it. And so the whole reason why I'm like getting into drawing is because I want to draw my stories out, and I'm still working on that. I'll link my Tumblr and Instagram down below if you guys want to see like the things that I've drawn on Procreate. But yeah, I'm still very much a noob, very much a beginner, and have like a whole road ahead of me to learn. But yeah, I'm very determined and I want to get better at drawing so that I could really express my story in a different way, in a more visual aspect. I had to pause my video and rewatch what I was talking about because I completely thought I like said something and then didn't elaborate any further about it. But like on that topic, I feel like there's so many times where I was like having a conversation with an individual and I like held back on saying something. And I just always wonder, like, what would have happened if I said what I wanted to say? Like, would any trajectory in my life change? And I feel like it would. I've just been in, like, this, like, lately 16, 17, and 18, like, these years have just been, like, me, like, analyzing things, like, so much. I'm just, like, questioning a lot. I've been making, like, a lot of mistakes that I could have done, like, in a different way. And afraid that like with that wasted time in the past I could have done something differently that would have changed my current stance, if that makes sense. Like I'm very kind of defeated when I look back at my mistakes and I'm like, how come I didn't realize what was so obvious in front of me to like do something a different way? And I'm just like, I think I got it. Like I sit here and I'm like, yeah, I think I have a proper understanding of so many things so far, but it's like, do I really, when I made this really kind of like dumb mistake in the past? And it's like, I've just been in this state where I like don't really trust myself. I don't know, like, if do you guys feel the same way? And if you do, or if you felt the same way, is there, like, I want to hear your input. Sorry, I'm just trying to like find the correct way to hold this mic. Anyways, so with my whole drawing pursuit and whatnot, school on the meanwhile, is that even grammatically correct? But school, I successfully finished it. Didn't attend grad bash or prom, which I said in my first video, so go back to that. That on the side, I spent the entire summer just simply editing my stories and publishing them on all sorts of domains like Wattpad, Writers Cafe, and then, as I recently mentioned in my previous video, my whole entire stories are free on Amazon KDP, and I also started a new story called Only One for Me, which is currently in the works, and I'm publishing it on Wattpad and Writers Cafe at the moment. So yeah, and also in the summer I started my YouTube channel, and I really find making content enjoyable, especially with kind of like the way my channel is set up, where it's like I kind of just talk about whatever I want to. It's a little like kind of like a podcast, but a little bit of like a little online video diary. And it's, you know, I feel like years down the line I'm gonna want to look back and kind of see what I wondered during this time in my life. So it's a bit of like a time capsule. Though I haven't like gotten an audience yet with YouTube, I still find it very fulfilling to create content. And I would say that if you are hesitant or apprehensive about making a channel, or like scared about what people will think, blah 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 blah, I like don't hesitate. Like, just make videos. It's very enjoyable. You'll find a little hustle on the side, and it's just like, I don't think there's any drawbacks. On the topic of like art and like putting myself out on social media, so I have a YouTube account. I think I mentioned in this video I have a Tumblr account, but I also recently made an Instagram account. And I feel like these social medias are kind of not necessarily important, but I'm allowed to lean on them, especially with the whole TikTok ban going on, because it's like we're unsure of like, I don't know if people are being serious about it, but I recently like saved all my old privated videos for when I was in like middle school, because I need to look back on those and I like uploaded them on my Google Drive. But yeah, I feel like the algorithm is kind of weird on YouTube lately, and that's maybe why I haven't been getting an audience, because I've filmed YouTube videos in the past before and like tried to make like an old channel like a couple years ago, and I like uploaded content and I was getting views. I remember I cut my hair. I made like a video where I cut my hair and like uploaded that, and I got like 400 views, which is like the most I've ever gotten. And now I'm like getting like 2 views. So obviously there's like a lot of things going on in life, and people are not like worried about YouTube. They are worrying about paying their bills and whatnot. So I definitely think that with the world the way things are, maybe that's what's kind of finicky with the algorithm. But I feel like with the TikTok, if that's really going to be going through with, people will kind of divert their attention onto YouTube. So maybe then I'll grow an audience. I'm still going to make videos regardless. I'm just something I've noticed and wanted to share. Anyways, so after making my YouTube account and kind of sorting out like my art hobby and whatnot, I really had to focus on school. And when I made my last video, I mentioned that like, oh, I wanted to read Confessions to kind of sway my mind from the fact that I was going to be going to school in like a week, I think. And I enrolled in an art school, and eventually I had to withdraw. I really underestimated college. I just thought like, hey, it's a continuation of high school, right? Not really. It's very different, and the dynamics are very like, I would say that high school does not prepare you for college whatsoever, or at least it didn't really prepare for me. You kind of just have to be in the situation to really know what to expect yourself. Like, people can say all sorts of things, but you really need to go into it yourself to really know how you feel about it. The art school that I was in, the reason I enrolled in it was because they had online classes, and the online classes were similar to the way pandemic styled curriculum was, where it's like a Zoom session, the professor lectures, you get your assignments, you get your work for the day, and that's that. And I've been like on the hunt for like online school programs where they're very similar to the pandemic, because I did very well in the pandemic with like that Zoom session. But various online programs, online colleges, online high schools are specialized in like asynchronous learning, which is simply you teaching yourself essentially. Like, you get all the curriculum online, you teach yourself. You don't really have like a set professor. Maybe you do that who grades your work, but you're on your own essentially. And I don't learn like that at all. I need someone to lecture me. Like, that's the way I've learned my whole life. I'm not gonna suddenly like change the way I learn, you know? And this art school offered the pandemic styled like teaching. Well, it's the catch though. It was very expensive. I attended like a couple lectures before I withdrew, and all I could say was that the money was just not worth it. I feel like with the way the economy is, there are better choices for me financially and educationally. And there was like various presenters that would come to my school and be like, yeah, I still have school debt like looming over my head, hundreds of K like money. And it's just like, I feel like people think that student loans and whatnot are very forgiving. But no, like, the way our economy is shaped, that compound interest is just going to keep adding up and adding up and adding up until you have like hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt incurred from simply going to school, which is just super messed up. But I was just like, if I attend this school, also as a non-committed person, I know that sounds like, dude, why would you enroll in a school if you're not committed? But I really was like, I'll cross that bridge when I get there. Like, when I tell you I underestimated college, I really did. I really wish that maybe junior, senior year, I really spoke to someone that would literally like set out exactly what I could expect for college, because I never really got that intel until I put myself in that situation. Like, get hit with just a deep wave of realization of like what that entailed through that journey. And I remember I just like would wake up for my online lectures and I would just tremble. I wouldn't eat a lot like through that whole week because I was so stressed out. Also, like, the lectures were 2 hours and 30 minutes, 1 in the morning and then 2 at night. And it's just like, I wasn't able to switch my schedule around and get a good professor as well. And I was just like, for the amount I'm paying, I should be able to do that, yet I'm not. And I was just like, this isn't worth it. This isn't for me. I'm uncommitted. I don't know what I want to do. I need more of a stepping stone. that is why I withdrew from that school. But I would say, like, if you're a senior applying to any colleges at the moment, stay away from private institutions and just try to go public. The best thing you can do right now is just save your money. Don't spend it on a university that you're not committed to. I know that sounds like very obvious, and it's like, why would you even do that in the first place? But I did that, and afterwards I quickly enrolled in a local community college. I've been attending there ever since. I recently just finished my first term, but since I enrolled late, I was on like a accelerated session, and I was only able to take like 3 classes, which means that I'm like a few credits short because everybody else is taking a certain amount of credits, because you need 120 credits for a bachelor's degree. And since community college is an associate's and then you transfer to another university, you need 60 credits, which means 30 each year. And I'm very much short on that because I enrolled late, and I honestly don't blame myself because my parents didn't envision for me to go to community college. They really were against that because I feel like people have the misconception that community college is like where all the delinquents kind of go to school. It's a program that is just affordable education, and I would say that they host a lot of events at my campus, lots of resources and support out there, and I would say learning wise maybe it falls short slightly, but it's still like a great stepping stone. So if you're like thinking about going to community college, definitely watch like videos about it, but I 100% advocate that you do so. And if your parents are kind of holding you back, like try to convince them that you're in this like mode in your life where you need a bit more time to just figure things out, because with the way school is structured, you're not prepared to go into something you're passionate about, because it's like, what are you passionate about if you were in school your whole entire life, you know what I mean? And that's kind of what I've been struggling with right now. When I was in junior year, I took like computer classes, and I was like, I'm just gonna major in computer science or something when I go into college. But at the moment, the computer industry is very competitive. I think it wasn't doing well for a while, and because there was like some sort of like, well, jobs in general are very difficult to get right now because of some unemployment reasons, but especially with like computer, there was like some sort of like a graph where it just kind of like tanked as a career in general, and that leaves me apprehensive. And as well as like, I was watching a lot of career videos on YouTube of like, should I go into computer science, things like that, and people are saying like, you need to be passionate about it. And personally, when I was taking those classes in high school, I was very disinterested. I just kind of took it because I was like, I'm kind of good at it, maybe I'll do it when I'm in college. But at the moment, I'm slightly hesitant. I'm an undecided student, so I don't really know what I want to go into. But with that kind of like out there's like not really a lot of reassurance with that career, so I'm very skeptical about going into it. But maybe I will, because like people are saying like, oh, don't go into it, but some people are saying maybe go into it. If you're thinking about doing a boot camp in it, don't, because people prefer you have a degree rather than like a certification. Yeah, on that note, if you're a junior just in high school, maybe a senior, or even in college, definitely really think out what you want to major in. And I would say the best way to do that is to find some careers you're interested in. I would say personally, me, I'm all over the place. I'm interested in various things, and just like watch videos of that on YouTube. Search up like, is this major worth it? You'll get a list of videos, watch that, compile it in your like watch later on YouTube, and just watch it and see what people have to say. Do some research. I think the most important things to factor out is salary, work-life balance, kind of like the education itself, like how difficult it is, blah blah blah, and satisfaction is the most important thing, because you're going to be, this is your job, 9 to 5 is the schedule I'm assuming you're gonna do, so that takes up a lot of your life. You want to make sure that you're satisfied with what you're doing. I wouldn't trust Reddit when it comes to career stuff, because I remember making a Reddit account a couple months back and like going through the subreddits of like certain career professions and asking people like, hey, what do you guys think of this? I would like your intel because you guys are involved in this industry. Let me know if it's worth it, blah 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 blah. People on Reddit are so ruthless, and it has a lot to do with the anonymity. I think that's the correct way to say it, but my friend sent me this video, I'll put it up here, and it was basically a video summarizing how people lose their humanity when they're anonymous. And Reddit is literally that. You're anonymous. There's all sorts of people that are just typing away, and it's not a credible source to use when you're like going on like on a career hunt, you know? And people are not going to be easy on you. They're going to be very difficult, very harsh, abrupt, aggressive, hostile, which literally goes against the guidelines. When you join a subreddit, it literally says, please be kind. Nobody is kind on Reddit. Everybody's so rude. I would say to take what people say with a grain of salt. But if you're going there for career advice and you just are very friendly, like, hey, could somebody help me? They're just like, search it up. Go on Google. Like, oh my gosh, they don't get it, because it's like you want that intel of someone that's in the industry to tell you what to do, and it's like that can't easily be searched up on Google. But yeah, use Reddit if you want to. I would say Quora is maybe a better site because people are verified on Quora. They have like public profiles. Like you could literally see like John something, PhD and blah blah blah, and he's like, yeah, okay. Like you could really search him up and like really fact check him as this sort of person. So I would take advice from them instead about career advice. But as I mentioned, do the watch later of a bunch of career fields you're interested in, and then from there kind of narrow down your options. And I would say use LinkedIn. There's this app called US Drive, which has like mentors. I'll put it up here. Make a LinkedIn account, US Drive, and just network with people in the industry. Ask them like, hey, what do you think? Do you think that this is worth it? And once you really get an answer out of that, shadow people in the industry. You can use like apps like Nextdoor and be like, hey, is there anybody specializing, like if you want to be a nurse, be like, are there any nurses I can shadow to get experience and immerse myself in what it's like to be a nurse? Because that is very important before you choose what career you want to go into, because you want to make sure you like it. And I feel like if you aren't passionate about anything, don't like anything, definitely consider taking like what's it called? A year off? A break year? What's it called? Just take a year off just to really think things through. Maybe take an internship, shadow all sorts of people until you find out what you want to do. Because in college, even general eds are catered to certain career pathways, and you will be limited to the things you can take unless you have a definitive selection of what you want to major in. So if you're completely uncertain, I recommend taking a year off and then joining college. Personally, me, I'm just kind of all over the place, and I think I just need to really speak with people, do career research, and then I'll be able to figure out what I want to do, which is why I'm still in college, because I also want to get credits. There's no such thing as being behind. Everybody's on their like own wavelength and own pathway, but personally me, I'm trying to like get everything not as soon as possible. I'm not trying to rush, but I just want to make sure that I'm on track in my own standards. But if I still like in a safety net when it comes to classes, but by summer, if I don't really know what I want to go into, summer of 2025, I really am probably going to take like a year off to really think things through, because I don't want to go into something and then regret that I should have gone into something else because I found out I liked it better, if that makes sense. So really think that through. And I would say it's best to start now if you're a senior, a junior, blah, blah, blah. I know it's kind of like common sense, like, why didn't you know what you wanted to go into before going into college? Like, I know that some of you guys may be thinking that way, but it's like, I really just was like, I'll cross that bridge when I get there. I really was like, put it to the side, not committed, because I didn't envision myself going into college. It's not my dream to go into college. It really isn't. My dreams are to do other things. And since college wasn't in like the books for me, now that I'm in that timing where it's like, okay, are you gonna go to college or not? I just went and didn't think much of it, but now I'm like seriously considering like my options and the things I want to go into. So I hope that was helpful. Alright, so with the whole college thing, I'm very hesitant and apprehensive and just a doubtful person in general. So really picking a major and what I want to go into is quite difficult because I really don't know, you know? So I've like kind of like confirmed what I'm going through is imposter syndrome. And I watched this video by like Dr. Kenji. I'll put him up here. I watched him because I'm interested in like medical stuff, and he was just saying like imposter syndrome is something you can't really get rid of, and it's a way that you're constantly challenging yourself to just, you're like rethinking like, oh, am I able to do this? But you're like gonna put yourself in the challenge to do it. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm just going through that. If you guys have any advice on what I could do, or kind of like a way to slightly ease it, please let me know, because I'm in need of help. I've just been going through with a bunch of imposter syndrome with this like new chapter of my life where it's like college this, college that, blah 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 blah. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like am I capable of doing this? I really am thinking of that. So if you're going through the same thing, like, it's mutual, you know. I'm in that stance right now. You just have to go into it, I guess. I really can't keep there was like a presenter at my college for a class once, and he just said, if you keep waiting for perfect, you're gonna wait forever. So there really isn't a perfect career field out there. I'm just trying to find which one I resonate with the most. I've narrowed down my options to regulatory or medical affairs, which is like pharmacy, like that health administration section of like the medical industry. It's like kind of like a mixture of business and medicine. Correct me if I'm wrong. I've been thinking of going into that. If you're involved in that field, like, let me know what I should expect, or like if you advise me to not go into that. But I've been thinking of that, industrial engineering, or just any sort of engineering field, because that really correlates with like my want for like a high salary, things like that, blah blah blah. And then the one I resonate the most out of, but I've just been hearing a lot of negativity, is speech language pathology. Personally, I kind of want to secure like a job with just a bachelor's degree, and becoming a speech language pathologist requires you get a master's degree and then a fellowship and then hours and then certification, blah blah blah. That seems a little grueling and daunting. It's the one I resonate the most with, but if you're involved in that field, let me know. But there's just a lot of negativity within it, so I'm left a little apprehensive, so that's why I'm still trying to think things through. But if you're involved in any of the career sectors I was talking about and have any advice you'd like to give, please do so. But the advice that I like to give is from my career research thus far. You don't want to major in something too general. So like, for example, let's say you want to go into biology. Biology is not general at all, but you can't really secure things with a bachelor's degree in biology. If you like, let's say you could be like a lab scientist, but majority of people that go into like biomedical engineering, biochemical engineering, biology, chemistry, want to be like doctors, dentists, veterinarians. Just know that like higher education for like medical industries and whatnot is necessary, so definitely think things through if you want to go into like biology. For example, psychology as well, you need like a master's or a PhD to be like a full-on clinical psychologist. So definitely think those through. Don't just kind of like, just go into it. Very like think through your major immensely, because you don't want to regret it years down the line that you went to this route. And also don't major in something too general, because you don't have like a niche to go down on. Like, recruiters want you to be specialized in a certain field, but if you go into like, for example, health.
That's what she said. And you know what? What was that? Okay, James.
Healthcare administration, it's very general. Or like business administration, that's still very general. You're not an accountant though. You're not in finance. So like recruiters will be apprehensive, and you're just gonna have to do a lot more work to put yourself out there and get a job. So that's my 2 cents from what I've incurred with my career research, but correct me if I'm wrong. Give me advice if I'm wrong about that, but that's just what I've learned and what I'd like to share with you. When it comes to majors, I would major in writing in a heartbeat if I knew that I would like be able to pay my bills in the future. But thus far from what I've like incurred about my research with writing, if you want to be a journalist, you have to be in like very dangerous situations to really get that good salary. Majoring in communications, things like that, you're not really guaranteed a good salary, and that's something I really prioritize, because you know, I want to make sure that I am not struggling to make ends meet in the future. I want to not even worry about finances in the future. Therefore, I want to really secure a major in something that is guaranteed to like blossom in that spectrum. So yeah, that's why I'm not going into writing. Also, I feel like if I went into writing, I would kind of lose my zing into it, because it would be more of a job and less of like just writing, you know what I mean? If you feel like going into it, go into it. If any technical writers are watching this, please give me like your input on that field, because I've been doing a lot of research, and it's just like I haven't been given a definitive answer about technical writing. But if you're looking for a website to search up like salaries, educational requirements, a good site would be bls.gov. It's like a full federal website that will give you like statistics on certain jobs. So check that out for career stuff. I hope that makes sense. But when it comes to like going into something you're passionate about, I would think twice, because I feel like in this economy it's important to have stability. And so let's say you want to go into art, maybe go into something else that you can do that will provide you stability in the future to pursue your passion on the side, if that makes sense. So this is a little out of left field, but I've developed a little disorder called trichotillomania, I think. But it's basically where I just like pull my hair out. And if you guys have any advice on like how to go about that, or if you're maybe in a similar position, I literally don't know how it happened. I think I'm just bored and starting to like pull my hair out, or like maybe I'm stressed, no clue. But it's kind of like developed a little bit of a bald spot in my hair, and that's caused me to like not double take, but like try to hold myself back, because I'm really starting to see like the damage. And yeah, I just wanted to open up about that because it's like what I've been going through, because this is a little 2024 reflection, you know. I started learning how to drive. I got my permit like 2 years ago. I didn't do anything about that because I was like, Dad, are we gonna learn how to drive? And she's like, yeah. But he wanted me to get a driver instructor because he thought that they would be more thorough with me with like learning all the technical stuff when it comes to driving. But it's very expensive to do that right now. I'm just driving with him at the moment. Things have been fine. I've suck at parking and I still have a long way to learn, but I feel like there's no rush. I'm gonna take baby steps and hopefully then I will start being better at driving. I'm very scared of driving because my mother doesn't drive. She just has like this very huge fear of driving, and that's kind of like rubbed off on me. And I feel like there's like being in control of like on the road and stuff. I feel like that's so scary because it's like I don't even trust myself, like but I don't know, I just need to practice some more. But I've been getting into driving. So on the topic of college, I'm very scared of the spring semester because I'm enrolled in a lot more classes. This term I was a part-time student, but now I'm going to be a full-time student, so I'm going to be taking on a lot more workload. And from what I've heard of people going into college, they're like, oh my gosh, it's so rigorous, it's so grueling, textbook this, textbook that. And I'm just really scared that, again, that imposter syndrome is really getting to me, that maybe I like won't be able to handle it. I don't know. I just want to tell you guys about that, but obviously I'm still going to give it my all. And I hope that, you know, things sail smoothly with that. I also got an internship, and I've been writing about like adoption and whatnot. We'll see where that goes. I might have to put it on the side when school comes around, but I hope that I can finish it and really gain an understanding on like how to be a better writer, as well as gaining experience, putting that on my resume, and maybe getting other job options and just networking with people on like LinkedIn and whatnot. So I watched this video of like her YouTube is like Hot Priestess. That's her channel. I'm probably saying it wrong, but this video about like writing a love letter. We listen but we don't judge. We listen but we don't judge, okay? Don't ask me why I was watching that video, but it's basically a video where you like write a letter about you when you have what you want, and just like writing that and like immersing yourself with what you want. So like in the topic of that video, it was about like finding love, and it's like basically the way to manifest that is by pretending you are the person that you want to be in a relationship with, and like writing a love letter to yourself about that, and then like reading it and like really affirming that and like putting that message into the world about that stuff. And yeah, I was just like, I could really do this with like not necessarily like finding love, but with like other aspects of my life. And so I really want to seal the year with doing that. And if you want to do that too, I definitely recommend it and encourage it, because I think that's a great way to really affirm the things that you want. It's just gonna give you more motivation and determination to do the things that you want to do, and really like envision that reality and immerse yourself in it. So with resolutions, I want to be a lot more grateful. I don't think there's any harm in like opening about your resolutions. That's not gonna like deter me from actually doing it. I really want to be more grateful and just practice gratitude. I would say I'm quite grateful, but I just really want to deeply become grateful and just appreciate all the privileges and amazing things that I have in my life, and just really like stop to smell the roses, you know? I really want to make sure that I don't take anything for granted, and really I want to be a lot more present. I feel like I worry too much about the future, worry too much about the past. I just need to be present and take life as it is, you know? When it comes to writing, I will put up this quote of Toni Morrison. She said this quote about like how writing is really just like expressing yourself, and I feel like in my stories that really is rubbed off, and it like touched me.
When did you know that you were going to be a writer?
I never thought about it. I started to write when I was in a lonely place, and I was writing really for me and not for publication and not for anybody. It was a way of talking. It was a way of talking then. So I talked to myself a lot.
I'm sorry if this video is all over the place. I like literally wrote all this down, and I was like, I need to go over this, but it was like spurring to me in like random moments, and I was like, duh, duh, duh. So it may not be in order, but we're nearing the end of this video. I can already tell it's so long, and I thought that I've been yapping for so long, but what's this video called? I mean, channel. Stop. What's this channel called? I didn't ask for yappuccino. So I'm going to be yapping. I'm going to be babbling, ramble, blah, 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 waffling, all of that jazz. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. That wraps the end. I hope you found it helpful. If there's anything you want to say, any input, any advice, your takeaway, maybe how your year's been going, your reflection on that, give it to me. I will read it for sure. But yeah, I hope you guys found this video enjoyable. And I'll link everything in the description. Petitions, I have petitions that I've been linking from my past videos. My story stuff, all of that will be linked down below. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Have a great holiday season. I'll make probably a new video sometime this year, but if not, I'll see you guys next year. Bye bye bye.